My in-laws said I was dragging their son down until my business made millions, and suddenly they wanted me to hire their other kids. When I married Trevor at 23, his parents made their opinion clear. His mother pulled me aside at the rehearsal dinner and said, "You know, he could have married the Davidson girl. Her father owns half downtown." His father told Trevor right in front of me that marrying someone without a college degree was social suicide. I'd dropped out sophomore year to care for my dying mom. By the time she passed, I had $60,000 in medical debt and no way back. I was working as a restaurant manager, pulling 60-hour weeks. Trevor loved me anyway. His family attended our wedding wearing black. For 5 years, every holiday was torture. They'd asked Trevor across the table when he planned to get his MBA now that he was supporting me. Never mind that I made more than him. When we couldn't afford their country club, his mother told everyone I was holding him back. When we bought a modest starter home, his father said I had no ambition. The breaking point came at Trevor's 30th birthday. His mother announced to 40 guests that it was such a shame Trevor had sacrificed his dreams for love. She used air quotes around love. That night, I decided to launch my business idea, a meal prep service for dietary restrictions, something I understood from Mom's final years. I emptied my savings, took a small business loan, worked the restaurant by day, and built the business at night. His parents called it my little hobby. When I quit to run it full-time, his mother asked Trevor if he was really letting his wife throw away stability for this fantasy. Year 1, we made $90,000. Year 2, $340,000. By year 3, we had 15 employees shipping nationwide. Trevor became CFO. His parents suddenly started calling more. When we hit our first million during year 4, they showed up unannounced with champagne and a proposition. Trevor's younger brother Dimitri needed a job. Their daughter Violet had dropped out of her master's program. Wouldn't it be wonderful keeping success in the family? As if she hadn't spent years saying I was ruining her son's life. That week, I got a call from a venture capital firm. They wanted to invest $8 million for 20% equity. We'd be valued at $40 million. The contracts arrived Friday. I was signing Monday. Sunday, his family hosted a barbecue. When we arrived, I realized it was an ambush. His parents had invited Dimitri, Violet, their youngest Rory, and his father's business partner's son Wesley. His father made a toast. "To family taking care of family," he said, looking at me. His mother pulled out her phone listing qualifications. I set down my plate and stood up. I told them I remembered where I came from, being called a gold digger at my own wedding, being blamed for every perceived failure. I remembered clearly. Then I told them about the $8 million offer, about hiring 40 positions. His mother's face lit up. "I always knew you'd succeed," she said. I pulled out my phone and played the video. 3 years earlier at Thanksgiving, I'd recorded his parents in the kitchen. His father was telling his mother that Trevor's little wife would bankrupt them with her delusional business, that they should have forced an annulment. His mother agreed, calling me an anchor around Trevor's neck. The color drained from their faces. I told them every position had been promised to people who believed in us from the start. Those people were family now. Then his father did something unexpected. He stood, walked to where I stood, and placed both hands on my shoulders. What he said next changed everything. "You're absolutely right," he said. His voice was quiet, steady. "We treated you abominably." The backyard went silent. Even the cicadas seemed to pause. His mother's mouth fell open. Dimitri dropped his beer. Trevor looked like someone had slapped him. His father's hand stayed on my shoulders. "I need to say something to everyone here. My wife and I have spent 5 years being the worst kind of people. We judged this woman based on circumstances beyond her control. We mocked her ambitions. We made our son's life harder because we couldn't see past our own prejudices." He turned to face the group. "My daughter dropped out of her master's program because she couldn't handle the workload. My son Dimitri has been fired from 3 jobs in 2 years for showing up late. Rory hasn't held employment for more than 6 months since graduating, and we enabled all of it." His mother tried to interrupt. "Honey, this isn't—" "No." His voice was sharp. "Let me finish." He looked back at me. "You worked 60-hour weeks while grieving your mother. You paid off debt that would have crushed most people. You built a multi-million-dollar company from nothing, while my son, who I'm proud to say had the sense to support you, became successful alongside you. And what did we do? We showed up in black to your wedding like we were attending a funeral." Tears were running down his face now. I'd never seen this man cry, never seen him show anything but cold disapproval. "I'm not asking for your forgiveness," he continued. "I don't deserve it, but I needed everyone here to understand something. If any of my children had half your work ethic, half your determination, they wouldn't need handouts. They'd be building their own empires." He dropped his hands from my shoulders and stepped back. "I'm sorry, truly, and I understand if you never want to see us again." Then he walked into the house. We heard a door close upstairs. The silence that followed was suffocating. His mother stood there, mascara running, looking between me and the house. Violet was crying. Dimitri looked furious. Rory had gone pale. Wesley, the business partner's son, cleared his throat. "I'm going to go." He left through the side gate. Trevor moved to my side. "We're leaving too." "Wait." His mother's voice cracked. "Please, can we talk about this?" I looked at her. Really looked. The perfect makeup couldn't hide how much older she seemed. The designer clothes couldn't mask how small she'd become. "What's there to talk about?" I asked. "Your husband just said everything that needed saying." I didn't know he felt that way. She twisted her hands together. I thought we were protecting Trevor." "From what?" Trevor's voice was cold. "From being happy? From being successful? Because that's all she's ever brought into my life." Violet stood up. "This is ridiculous. Dad's having some kind of breakdown. Mom, you don't have to—" "Shut up, Violet." Trevor's mother spoke without looking at her. "Your father is right. About all of it." She walked toward me slowly, like approaching a wild animal. "I was jealous," she said. "Is that what you want to hear? My parents arranged my marriage. I never worked a day in my life. I never built anything. I never had the courage to even try. And when you came along, young and ambitious and completely in love with my son, I saw everything I wasn't. She was crying openly now. So I made you the villain. I made Trevor the victim. I convinced myself you were using him when the truth was terrifying. You didn't need him. You chose him. And that made me realize my husband never chose me. He accepted me because it was a good business arrangement. I didn't know what to say. I'd imagined this confrontation 1,000 times. In every version, I was triumphant and cold. I destroyed them with facts and success. I never imagined his father breaking down. Never imagined his mother admitting the truth. I'm not asking you to hire my children, she continued. They don't deserve it. I'm not even asking you to forgive us. I need you to know that my husband and I are going to therapy. We're going to figure out why we became such terrible people. And we're going to do better. She looked at Dimitri, Violet, and Rory. Starting with them. No more bailouts. No more excuses. They're going to learn what you learned. That nothing in this world is handed to you. Dimitri stood up. Are you serious right now? You're cutting us off because we failed you. His mother's voice was steel. We raised you to be entitled. We taught you the world owed you something. We were wrong. She turned back to me. I hope someday you can forgive us. But I understand if that day never comes. Then she walked into the house after her husband. We stood there. The 4 siblings and Trevor and me, in the backyard that had witnessed so much cruelty over the years. Violet was the first to move. She grabbed her purse and stormed out. Dimitri followed, muttering curses under his breath. Rory stayed. He was 24, the youngest, and he looked lost. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for everything. I studied him. He'd always been the quietest one. Never actively cruel, but never defending me either. What are you sorry for specifically? I asked. He thought about it. For not speaking up, for laughing when Dad made those comments about your education, for assuming you'd fail because that's what everyone kept saying. Okay, I said. Apology acknowledged. That's it? What else do you want? Forgiveness is earned, not given. He nodded slowly. Fair enough. He paused. For what it's worth, I've been working at a nonprofit for the last 8 months. It doesn't pay much, but I actually like it. I'm not asking for a job. I just thought you should know that not all of us are Dimitri and Violet. Good, I said. Keep doing that. He left through the front door, leaving Trevor and me alone in his parents' backyard. Trevor pulled me close. I can't believe that just happened. Me neither. Do you think they meant it? I thought about his father's tears, his mother's confession. I think they meant it in this moment. Whether they'll mean it tomorrow or next month or next year, I don't know. What do you want to do? I want to go home, I said. I want to celebrate signing that contract tomorrow. And I want to forget this family exists for at least 48 hours. We left through the side gate. On the way home, my phone started buzzing. Text messages. 3 from his father, 2 from his mother, all saying the same thing. I'm sorry. I put my phone on silent. Monday morning, I signed the contracts. $8 million, 20% equity, 40 new positions opening over the next 6 months. Tuesday, I started interviewing. Restaurant workers who'd supported me when I was just starting, single parents who needed flexible hours, people with gaps in their resumes because life happened, people like me. Wednesday, his mother showed up at my office. She didn't call first, didn't ask if I had time, just walked in carrying a box. My assistant tried to stop her. I waved her through. I'm not staying, she said immediately. I just wanted to give you this. She set the box on my desk. Inside were photo albums, dozens of them. What is this? Every family photo we have from the last 5 years. Every Christmas, every birthday, every holiday. I went through and removed every picture that had you in it because I realized something last night. I erased you. I cropped you out of our family, literally and figuratively. And I can't undo that, but I can give them back to you. I opened the top album, my wedding day. There I was, smiling next to Trevor, his whole family in black behind us. Someone had written "the mistake" under the photo in pen. My hand started shaking. I wrote that, she said, the day after your wedding. I look at it now and I want to vomit. I flipped through more pages. Me at Thanksgiving, isolated at the end of the table. Me at Christmas, unwrapping a gift card while everyone else got thoughtful presents. Me at Trevor's birthday, standing alone in the corner while his family laughed. Every photo was a tiny cruelty I'd forgotten, or tried to forget. Why are you showing me this? My voice was hollow. Because you need to see what we did, not just hear us apologize. You need evidence that we were systematically cruel, that it wasn't in your head, that you had every right to hate us. She sat down without being invited. My therapist asked me to document every terrible thing I could remember doing to you. I got to 47 before I couldn't continue. Want to hear them? No. I need to tell someone, please. I checked my watch. You have 5 minutes. She pulled out her phone and started reading. Number 1, I told the caterer at your wedding to serve you chicken instead of the filet everyone else got. Number 2, I removed your name from the Christmas card list and told people you and Trevor had separated. Number 3, I called your restaurant and filed a fake complaint to try to get you fired. Number 4, stop. I felt sick. Why? Because I'm a miserable woman who spent 30 years in a loveless marriage convincing myself it was noble. Because I saw you happy and couldn't stand it. Because destroying you felt easier than fixing myself. She put her phone away. I'm not here for forgiveness. I'm here to make sure you know that every terrible thing you thought about us was true. You weren't being sensitive. You weren't imagining things. We were exactly as bad as you thought. Okay, I said. Now leave. She stood. One more thing. This came Friday. She pulled out a letter and set it on my desk. From the country club. They're giving Trevor and me a Lifetime Achievement Award next month for our charity work. They want us to give a speech about family values. She laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. I'm going to decline, but I thought you should see it. Thought you should know that this whole community thinks we're wonderful people. That we've been fooling everyone for decades. That must be hard, I said, knowing it's all a lie. It is. She walked to the door, then paused. You know what the worst part is? My husband and I talked all night. Really talked. Maybe for the first time in our marriage. And we realized we don't even like each other. We've been performing for 30 years, playing the part of the perfect couple. And somewhere along the way, we forgot how to be real. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. Don't be. You freed us. You held up a mirror and forced us to look. Most people never get that. She left. I sat there for 20 minutes staring at those photo albums. Then I took them to the break room and showed them to my team. The people who'd been with me from the beginning. The ones who'd believed when no one else did. This, I told them, is why we're going to build something better. Not just a successful company, a place where people like us, people who've been erased and dismissed, can thrive. That Friday, I hired 15 people. Monday, 12 more. By the end of the month, we'd filled 38 of the 40 positions. The last 2 positions were specialized. Director of Operations and Director of People Development. I needed people who understood systems and people who understood what it meant to be overlooked. Applications flooded in, 200 for each position, but one stood out. Rory, Trevor's youngest brother. His resume was sparse. The nonprofit job. Before that, a series of retail positions lasting 6 to 8 months each. But his cover letter was different. I'm not qualified for this position, it began. I don't have the experience you're looking for. I don't have the education or the connections. What I do have is 8 months of learning what it means to work for something that matters. I've made calls for donations, organized fundraisers, and met people who are surviving on hope and determination. People like you. I'm not asking for nepotism. I'm asking for a chance to prove that not everyone from my family is worthless. If you interview me and don't think I'm right, I'll accept that. But please consider giving me what you wanted 5 years ago. A shot. I scheduled the interview for Thursday, told my team I was considering Trevor's brother. They were not enthusiastic. Are you serious? My director of marketing, Patricia, had been with me since day one. After everything, he's the only one who apologized specifically, I said, the only one who didn't ask for anything. So, he still sat there for 5 years. I know. Then why interview him? Because 5 years ago, someone took a chance on me when I had nothing but an idea and debt. Because maybe he's not his parents. Because maybe people can change. Patricia shook her head. You're too good, you know that? I'm not good. I'm strategic. If he's terrible, we don't hire him and we never speak to that family again. If he's great, we get a talented employee who has something to prove. Either way, we learn something. Thursday came. Rory showed up 20 minutes early. He wore a suit that looked borrowed. His hands were shaking. I made him wait the full 20 minutes. Then I brought him back to the conference room where my entire leadership team was waiting. This is unusual, I told him. Normally, first interviews are just with me, but given our history, I thought it was important that my team meet you. These are the people you'd be working with, the people who built this company. If any one of them says no, you're out. He nodded. I understand. Good. Tell us why you want this job. And don't give me the cover letter speech. Tell us the truth. He took a breath. I want this job because I've spent my whole life being ashamed of my family, and I want the chance to be proud of where I work. I want to wake up excited instead of dreading another day. I want to learn from people who built something real instead of people who inherited everything and squandered it. Your parents aren't squanderers, said Brandon, my CFO, who'd been Trevor's college roommate. They're quite wealthy. My grandfather built that wealth, Rory said. My parents maintained it. There's a difference between building and maintaining. I want to build. Even if it means working for your brother's wife? Patricia's tone was sharp. The woman your family tormented? Especially then. Rory looked at me. You know what my first real memory is? I was 5. My mom was showing me pictures from Dimitri's birthday party. She pointed to someone in the background and said, "That's the help. Don't bother learning their names." That person was raising 3 kids on minimum wage while serving us cake. I grew up thinking that was normal, thinking people were disposable. And I hate that I ever thought that way. But you did think that way, I said, for 24 years. Yes, and I'll regret it forever. But 8 months ago, I met a woman at the nonprofit. She's 67, working part-time because her retirement was stolen by her employer. She told me about working 3 jobs to put her kids through college, about being dismissed and overlooked for decades. And all I could think was, she's you. She's what you would have become if Trevor hadn't supported you. The room went quiet. That's when I understood, he continued. My parents didn't just treat you badly. They treated everyone badly. The waiters whose names they never learned. The housekeepers they paid under minimum wage. The gardeners they'd call at 6 a.m. and expect to drop everything. And they taught us that was acceptable. That some people mattered and others didn't. So what changed? Brandon asked. Why wake up now? Because Sunday, my father admitted we were all failures. And he was right. I've never finished anything in my life. Never committed to anything. Never had to. And that nonprofit job? I was going to quit after 3 months. But then Maria, the 67-year-old, told me I was doing good work, that I mattered. And I realized no one had ever said that to me before. Not because I'd achieved something, but because I'd shown up and tried. He looked around the table. I know I don't deserve this job. I know my last name is a liability. But I'm asking anyway. Because I want to prove I'm not them. That I can be better. Patricia spoke first. If we hire you, you start at the bottom. Entry-level pay. No special treatment. You'll be making $42,000 a year. Less than you spent on your car. I don't have a car anymore, Rory said. I sold it last month. I take the bus now. You sold your car? My parents bought it. I didn't earn it. So I sold it and donated the money to the nonprofit. Felt like the right thing to do. I watched my team's faces. They were softening. Not much, but enough. We'll let you know, I said. Probably by next week. After he left, we sat in silence. Finally, Brandon spoke. I want to hate him, but I can't. He could be playing us, Patricia said. He could be a plant from the parents. To what end? I asked. They already apologized. They're already in therapy. What would they gain? I don't know. But rich people always have an angle. We were rich people too once, Brandon said quietly. Trevor's family wasn't always terrible. They used to be normal. Then Trevor's grandfather died and left them everything. Money changed them. Maybe lack of money is changing Rory back. We debated for an hour. Finally, I put it to a vote. Hire him or pass. 4 yes, 3 no, including Patricia. Majority rules, I said. We hire him on a 90-day probation. Any issues? He's gone immediately. I called him that evening. You start Monday, $42,000 a year. You'll be working under Patricia in marketing. She voted no, by the way, so you'll have to earn her trust every single day. Thank you. His voice cracked. You won't regret this. If I do, you're fired. Understood? Understood. Monday, Rory showed up at 6:45 a.m. for an 8 a.m. start. He asked what coffee people liked and did a run. He took notes in every meeting. He stayed until 7 p.m. without being asked. Patricia watched him like a hawk. By Wednesday, she cornered me in my office. "He's good," she said, sounding annoyed about it. "Really good. He has ideas. He listens. He doesn't act entitled. That's good news. It's terrible news, because now I like him. And I don't want to like anyone from that family." I laughed. Life's complicated. By the end of week 2, Rory had reorganized our entire social media calendar, created a content strategy that increased engagement by 40%, and volunteered to lead our first corporate charity drive. "We should donate meal prep packages to families with medical needs," he pitched in our Friday meeting. Full disclosure, I got the idea because that's where this company came from. Your mom, families like yours. We could partner with hospitals and offer 3 months of free meals to patients with dietary restrictions. "That's going to cost us," Brandon said. "Probably $200,000 for the first pilot program." "I know, but it's also going to generate press, goodwill, and show customers we're not just about profit. Plus," he hesitated, "it's the right thing to do." We launched the program in October. The response was overwhelming. Local news covered it. We got thank you letters from families. Our sales increased 30% that quarter from the positive press. Rory worked himself to exhaustion. He was first in, last out. He never complained, never asked for special treatment. By Thanksgiving, even Patricia admitted he'd earned his place. That Thanksgiving, Trevor and I hosted dinner at our house for the first time. Just us. No family. Peace. Until Friday morning when Trevor's mother called. "I know you don't want to hear from me," she said, "but I wanted to let you know your father-in-law is in the hospital. He had a heart attack last night." My first instinct was to say I didn't care, but Trevor was already grabbing his keys. We arrived at the hospital to find his mother in the waiting room, older and smaller than ever. Violet and Dimitri were nowhere to be seen. "Where are they?" Trevor asked. "Violet is in New York." Dimitri said he was too busy. Her voice was flat. "Rory's on his way." We sat in silence until the doctor emerged. "He's stable. The heart attack was moderate. He'll need bypass surgery, but he should recover fully with lifestyle changes." "Can we see him?" Trevor asked. "Immediate family only, 2 at a time." Trevor and his mother went first. When they came back, his mother looked shattered. "He wants to see you," she told me. Alone. I didn't want to go. But Trevor nodded, so I did. Trevor's father looked small in the hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere. He tried to smile when I entered. "Thank you for coming," he said. His voice was weak. Trevor wanted to come. "I'm just here for him." "Fair enough." He closed his eyes. "I've been thinking about Sunday, about what I said, about whether I meant it." "Did you?" "Every word, but I don't think I explained why." He opened his eyes again. "When I was 25, I wanted to be a teacher. High school history. I loved it. But my father said teaching was for people with no ambition. He forced me into the family business. Told me I had responsibilities, legacy to uphold." He coughed. "A nurse came in to check his vitals, then left. I spent 40 years in a job I hated," he continued. "Made money I didn't need. Married a woman I barely knew because it was good business. Raised children to value all the wrong things. And when you came along, actually in love with my son, actually building something from passion instead of obligation, I couldn't stand it. Why tell me this? Because I'm 63 years old and I just had a heart attack. Because I might die on that operating table Tuesday. And because you deserve to know that my cruelty had nothing to do with you. You were a mirror, and I hated what I saw. That doesn't make it okay. I know, nothing makes it okay. But I'm hoping it makes it understandable. I'm hoping that maybe, eventually, you can see me as a broken man who broke others, rather than a monster who enjoyed it." I didn't know what to say to that, so I just stood there. "Rory told me you hired him," he said. "Thank you for that. He's the only one of my children who might turn out okay. He's doing well. Good. He deserves a chance to be better than me." He closed his eyes again. "If I don't make it through surgery, tell Trevor I'm proud of him. Tell him he was smart to choose you. And tell yourself that you won, completely. I'm not keeping score. Yes, you are. We all are. And you should. You earned it." A nurse came back in. "He needs to rest now." I left without saying goodbye. In the waiting room, Rory had arrived. He hugged his mother, nodded at Trevor, looked at me. "Thank you for being here," he said. "I'm here for Trevor." "I know. Still thank you." We stayed until his father went into surgery Tuesday morning. 6 hours later, the doctor emerged with good news. The surgery was successful. Full recovery expected. His mother broke down crying. Violet showed up 3 hours later with shopping bags. Dimitri never came. Over the next 2 weeks, his father recovered slowly. We visited twice. Mostly Trevor talked while I sat silently. His mother was there every day. Rory came after work. Violet stopped by once with flowers and left after 10 minutes. Dimitri called but didn't visit. "They're too much like who I used to be," his father told Trevor one evening. "Too comfortable. Too entitled. They'll never change unless they hit bottom." "Maybe they won't change at all," Trevor said. "Maybe." His father looked at me. "But at least Rory has a chance. Because of you." I didn't respond. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. You can't just decide to flip it because someone almost died. Christmas came. We hosted again. Just Trevor and me and a few friends. Our first really happy holiday. The day after Christmas, Rory called. "Can I stop by? I have something to show you." He arrived with a folder. Inside were acceptance letters. 3 different graduate programs for nonprofit management. "I applied using what I have learned working for you," he said. "I got into all 3. Full scholarship to one of them." "That's amazing," I said. "When do you start?" "That's the thing. They're all full-time programs. I'd have to quit." My heart sank. He'd become valuable. More than valuable. Essential. "But I was thinking," he continued, "what if I didn't do any of them? What if I stayed here and you helped me learn on the job? Because graduate school would teach me theory. You could teach me reality. You're turning down graduate school to keep a $42,000 job? I'm turning down graduate school to keep learning from someone who built something real, who gets it, who doesn't treat people like commodities." He paused. "And yeah, because I like it here. I like who I'm becoming here." I looked at Trevor. He shrugged. "Your call." "Stay," I said. "But we're giving you a raise. $58,000 and a new title." Junior Director of Community Partnerships. You're going to build out our charitable program, make it something real. Rory's eyes went wide. Are you serious? Dead serious. We're allocating $500,000 for year 1. I want you to find the people who need us most. The families like mine who are drowning, and I want you to help them. He was crying now. I won't let you down. I know. January started with our expansion into 2 new states, 40 new employees, 3 new facilities. Revenue projections hitting $12 million for the year. The venture capital firm was thrilled. They wanted to invest another $15 million for scaling. We were considering it. Then Violet called. She needed money. She'd been living off credit cards in New York and was $40,000 in debt. Could I hire her? Give her a loan? Something? No, I said. But I'm family. You wore black to my wedding. You laughed when your mother said I'd fail. You never apologized. I'm apologizing now. Because you need money, not because you're sorry. Please. I'll do anything. Get a job, pay off your debt, learn what it means to earn things. Then maybe we'll talk. She called me a bitch and hung up. Her mother called an hour later. I heard about Violet, she said. You did the right thing. Did I? Yes. She needs to hit bottom. We all do. She sighed. I'm divorcing your father-in-law. That surprised me. Why? Because we spent 30 years pretending. His heart attack made us realize life's too short for pretending. We like each other now, but we don't love each other. We never did. So we're ending it amicably, splitting everything 50-50, starting over at 60. Wow. It's terrifying, she admitted. I've never been alone, never had to support myself, but I'm going back to school, getting my teaching certificate. Always wanted to teach. That's brave. It's desperate. But maybe that's the same thing. She laughed. Your father-in-law is moving to Vermont. He's going to teach history at a small college. Live simply. Be the person he wanted to be at 25. Good for him. We're liquidating everything. The house, the cars, the country club membership, splitting the proceeds. Violet and Dimitri are furious. They thought they'd inherit it all. Let me guess. They're contesting it? Oh yes. Very loudly. But we've already transferred everything into a trust. They'll get nothing until we die. And even then, most of it's going to charity. She paused. Rory's getting $50,000 now, though, to help with school if he decides to go. We wanted to give him something for being the only one who actually changed. He'll appreciate that. I hope so. And I hope you know that you changed us too. You forced us to look at ourselves. Not many people get that gift. We hung up. I told Trevor about the divorce. He wasn't surprised. They were never happy, he said. I'm glad they're finally admitting it. February brought more growth. We hired another 30 people. Opened in 2 more states. Revenue projections jumped to $18 million. Rory's charitable program launched officially. We partnered with 15 hospitals across 3 states, provided meal prep to 200 families in the first month. The press was incredible. Then Dimitri showed up at the office. He bypassed the front desk, walked straight to my office, and slammed the door. You destroyed my family, he said. Your family destroyed itself. My parents are getting divorced because of you. Violet is broke because of you. Even Rory abandoned us for you. I didn't make any of those things happen. Your parents chose to change. Violet chose not to. Rory chose to grow up. Those were their decisions. You turned them against us. I showed them what was possible when you work for things instead of expecting them. That's not the same thing. He stepped closer. Too close. I could ruin you. Tell everyone how you manipulated a vulnerable family, how you recorded private conversations, how you... Trevor appeared in the doorway. Get out. This is between me and your wife. No, this is between my brother who I'm ashamed of and my wife who I'm proud of. And you're leaving now. They stared at each other. Finally, Dimitri left, but not before saying, this isn't over. The next day, he filed a lawsuit, claiming I'd created a hostile work environment for Rory, that I'd manipulated their family finances, that I'd recorded private conversations without consent. All of it was nonsense. But it still had to be dealt with. Our lawyer reviewed everything. This is garbage. It'll be dismissed immediately. But he's probably hoping you'll settle to avoid hassle. We're not settling. The lawsuit made local news. Bitter brother sues. Successful sister-in-law. The story wrote itself. Then something unexpected happened. Rory went public. He wrote an open letter that Patricia posted on our company blog. My brother Dimitri is suing my boss, it began. Let me tell you why he's wrong. He detailed everything. The years of entitlement, the way our parents enabled it, how I'd given him a chance when I had every reason not to, how I'd changed his life by teaching him what work meant. My brother is angry because he's losing what he never earned, Rory wrote. He's lashing out because the gravy train stopped. He's suing because he has no other skills, and I'm ashamed to share his last name. The letter went viral. Within 48 hours, it had 2 million views. News outlets picked it up. Business magazines called us. Dimitri became a symbol of everything wrong with entitled rich kids. His lawsuit was dismissed 2 weeks later, with prejudice, meaning he couldn't refile. The judge called it frivolous and vindictive. Dimitri disappeared after that. Rumor had it he'd moved to California. His mother said he wasn't speaking to the family. March brought our biggest milestone yet. We hit $20 million in revenue. The venture capital firm offered $25 million for another 15% equity. We accepted. The company was now valued at $167 million. I owned 45% of that. Trevor owned 20%. The original investors owned 35%. On paper, I was worth $75 million. Trevor was worth $33 million. We didn't feel different. We still lived in our modest house, still drove reasonable cars, still worked 60-hour weeks, but the money was real, and it meant something. It meant I could start a foundation, the kind that helped people like my mom, people drowning in medical debt, people who'd had to drop out of school, people who just needed a chance. I allocated $10 million from my share. Trevor matched it. The foundation launched in April. My father-in-law sent a letter, not an email, an actual handwritten letter. I'm teaching now, he wrote. American history to high school sophomores. They're loud and irreverent, and I love every minute of it. I'm making $52,000 a year. I've never been happier. Thank you for showing me this was possible. Thank you for breaking our family so we could rebuild it right. Thank you for not giving up on Rory. He calls me every week and tells me about the work you're doing. It's the only time I feel like I was part of creating something good. You changed my son's life. You changed mine too. I kept that letter in my desk, not for sentimentality, for evidence that people could change, that redemption wasn't a fairy tale. May brought expansion into 10 states. We hired 100 more people. Revenue projections hit $35 million for the year. We were becoming exactly what I'd imagined that night after Trevor's 30th birthday. A real company. A company that mattered. A company that helped people. Rory got promoted again, Director of Social Impact. His department had 8 people now. They were partnering with 50 hospitals, helping 800 families a month. This is what I was meant to do, he told me one evening after everyone had left. Not what my parents wanted, not what would make me rich. You're good at it. Because you taught me. Because you showed me that success isn't about money. It's about impact. It's about looking at yourself in the mirror and not being ashamed. We sat in comfortable silence for a minute. Then he said, my dad asked if he could visit. See the operation. Meet the team. Would that be okay? I thought about it. Only if he understands he's a visitor. Not family, not an executive, just someone interested in what we're building. He understands. Trevor's father visited in June. He wore jeans and a flannel shirt. He shook everyone's hand, learned everyone's name, asked questions without making demands. He helped Rory pack meal prep boxes for an hour, just to understand the process. At the end of the day, he found me in my office. Thank you for letting me come, he said. This is incredible. What you've built. It's everything I wish I'd built. You still could. I'm 63. I've got maybe 20 good years left. But maybe that's enough. Maybe I can teach 500 kids before I'm done. Maybe some of them will remember me as the teacher who cared instead of the businessman who didn't. That would be good. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm hoping for something smaller. I'm hoping that someday when you think of me, you'll remember this version. The one who tried to change, even if it was too late. It's not too late, I said, and maybe I meant it. He left that evening on a Greyhound bus. He'd sold his Mercedes the month before and donated the money to our foundation. Summer brought our first international expansion. Canada, 2 cities, 40 new employees. The venture capital firm was pushing for more. Europe, Asia, South America. They wanted us to become a global brand within 5 years. Trevor and I spent a month debating. Did we want that? Did we want to be that big? Did we want to lose what made us special? In the end, we decided yes, but slowly, carefully, with the same values we started with. August brought Trevor's 35th birthday. We hosted a party at our house. 50 people. Everyone who'd been part of our journey. Rory was there with a girlfriend. His mother was there, looking younger somehow. His father sent a video message from Vermont wishing Trevor well. Violet and Dimitri weren't mentioned. They'd become ghosts. People we used to know. That night, Trevor pulled me aside. Do you ever regret it? Marrying me? Dealing with all of this? No, do you? Never. You made me better. You made my whole family better. Even the ones who hate you now. Because at least they're real now. At least they're not pretending anymore. That's very philosophical for someone who's had 4 beers. He laughed. I'm serious though. 5 years ago, my family wore black to our wedding. Today, the ones who matter are here celebrating. That's because of you. It's because of us. Maybe. But you were brave first. You were brave when it mattered. September brought news that Violet had gotten a job. Marketing coordinator for a small firm in Brooklyn. $45,000 a year. She was sharing an apartment with 2 roommates. She'd sold her designer clothes, cut up her credit cards, started therapy. She called me from a blocked number. I don't expect you to care, she said. But I wanted you to know I got a job, a real one, without family connections, and I'm learning what you already knew. That earning things feels better than inheriting them. Good for you. I was terrible to you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. But I wanted to acknowledge it. You were right about everything. Thank you for saying that. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think people can really change? Or are we just pretending to be different until we revert back? I thought about her father teaching in Vermont, her mother getting her teaching certificate, Rory packing meal boxes, myself building this company from nothing. I think change is a choice you make every single day, I said. Some days you'll choose right. Some days you won't. But if you choose right more than you choose wrong, eventually you become someone different. That's exhausting. It is, but it's better than being who you used to be. We hung up. I never heard from her again, but I hoped she kept choosing right. October marked 3 years since the barbecue. 3 years since his father put his hands on my shoulders and apologized. 3 years since everything changed. The company was now valued at $300 million. We had 500 employees across 15 states and Canada. We were feeding 3,000 families a month through our charitable program. I was worth $135 million on paper. Trevor was worth $60 million, but more importantly, we'd created something that mattered, something that helped people. That month, a documentary filmmaker reached out. She wanted to tell our story, from Wedding in Black to multi-million-dollar success to family implosion to redemption. I don't know, I told Trevor. Do we really want our dysfunction on screen? Maybe it helps someone, he said. Maybe someone else in a terrible family situation sees it and realizes they can leave. They can build something better. We agreed. The filming took 3 months. They interviewed me, Trevor, Rory, his parents, Patricia, Brandon, dozens of employees. They even got Violet on camera, though Dimitri refused. The documentary premiered at Sundance in January. It was called What We're Worth. The response was overwhelming. Critics loved it. It won the Audience Award. Netflix bought it for $2 million. When it released on Netflix in March, 15 million people watched it in the first week. We got flooded with messages. People thanking us for showing that toxic families don't have to define you, that you can walk away, that you can build something better. My favorite message came from a 24-year-old woman. I watched your documentary the night before I was supposed to marry a man my parents chose for me, she wrote. I called off the wedding the next morning. I moved out the day after that. I'm terrified and broke, and sleeping on a friend's couch. But I'm free. Thank you for showing me that was possible. That message made everything worth it. Every fight, every betrayal, every moment of doubt, because maybe that's what success really is. Not money or valuations or press, but showing someone else that a different life is possible. April brought an acquisition offer. A major food conglomerate wanted to buy us for $450 million. We'd each walk away with life-changing money. We'd never have to work again. Trevor and I spent 2 weeks debating. Finally, we called a company-wide meeting. We got an offer. I told our 500 employees, it's a lot of money, life-changing money, but it would mean selling the company, becoming part of something bigger, possibly losing what makes us special. I paused. So we're putting it to a vote. Not just Trevor and me and the board, everyone, because you built this as much as we did, and you deserve a say in what happens next. The vote took a week. When we tallied the results, it was 463 to 37 against selling. We turned down the $450 million. The venture capital firm thought we were insane. Business analysts said we'd left money on the table. Financial advisors said we'd regret it. But our employees threw a party because they knew what mattered, not maximizing profit, but maintaining purpose. May brought Trevor's mother to our office. She'd finished her teaching certificate. She was starting at a middle school in the fall. She wanted to tour our facility and understand what we'd built. I gave her the full tour, showed her every department, introduced her to people whose lives had changed because of jobs we'd created, showed her the walls covered in thank you letters from families we'd helped. At the end, we sat in my office, just the two of us. I need to tell you something, she said, and I need you to really hear it. Okay. When you played that video at the barbecue, when I heard myself call you an anchor around Trevor's neck, I wanted to die, not figuratively, literally. I went home that night and took every pill in my medicine cabinet. My blood went cold. What? Your father-in-law found me, called 911. I spent 3 days in psychiatric hold. She was crying now, because I realized I'd spent 30 years being a monster, not a misguided person, not someone with issues, a monster. And I couldn't live with that. I didn't know. No one did. We kept it quiet. But I need you to understand something. You didn't destroy our family. You saved me. Because hitting rock bottom was the only thing that could have changed me. I'm sorry that happened. Don't be. I'm not. Because I got help. Real help. And I learned that my cruelty came from my own unhappiness. That I'd been projecting my failures onto everyone else. That I'd made you the villain because I couldn't face being the villain myself. She wiped her eyes. I'm not asking for anything. Not forgiveness. Not a relationship. I just needed you to know that the night I tried to die was the night I started living. Really living. And that's because of you. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I said, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're teaching. I'm glad you found a way forward. Me too. She stood. One more thing. Rory talks about you constantly. About what you've taught him. About how you changed his life. I know I have no right to say this, but thank you. Thank you for giving my son a chance when he didn't deserve it. He earned it. Only because you let him. She left. I sat in my office for an hour processing. Understanding that redemption is messy and complicated and sometimes means surviving suicide attempts. June brought our biggest expansion yet. 20 new states. 300 new employees. $85 million in projected revenue. We were becoming something I never imagined. Not just a successful company. A movement. A proof that you could build something meaningful. That you didn't have to choose between profit and purpose. Trevor and I celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary that month. A decade since his family wore black. A decade since everyone thought I'd drag him down. We hosted a small dinner. Just us and Rory and his girlfriend and a few close friends. His father sent flowers from Vermont. His mother sent a card that simply said, "Thank you for proving us wrong." That night, lying in bed, Trevor asked, "Do you remember what you said on our wedding day, when we saw everyone in black?" "No." "What did I say?" "You said, 'Watch me prove them wrong.' And then you smiled." "I smiled?" "You smiled. Because even then, even at our worst moment, you knew. You knew you'd win. You knew you'd show them. And you were happy about it. I was probably just masking terror. Maybe. But I saw that smile and I knew I'd married the right person. Someone who responded to cruelty with determination. Someone who took pain and turned it into fuel. That's very romantic. I'm serious. You changed my life that day. Not by being perfect. By being fierce. We fell asleep holding hands. Like we did every night. Like we'd been doing for 10 years. July brought news that Dimitri had died. Car accident in California. He'd been drinking. The police said he was going 90 in a 45. Trevor took it hard, even though they hadn't spoken in 3 years. His mother flew out for the funeral. His father came down from Vermont. Violet came from New York. We went to support Trevor. The funeral was small, maybe 20 people. Dimitri had burned most of his bridges. During the service, Violet spoke. "My brother was complicated," she said. "He was angry and entitled and difficult, but he was also hurt. Hurt by expectations he could never meet. Hurt by a family that gave him everything except the tools to succeed. I like to think if he'd lived longer, he would have figured it out. Like Rory did. Like I'm trying to do. But he ran out of time. After the funeral, we gathered at his mother's small apartment. She'd downsized after the divorce. It was cozy and full of books. "I blame myself," she said. "I raised him to think the world owed him something. And when it didn't deliver, he couldn't cope." "You can't take responsibility for his choices," Trevor said. "He was an adult." "I know, but I gave him a broken foundation. I set him up to fail." Rory spoke up. "You set all of us up to fail. Violet and I just got lucky. We hit bottom while we were young enough to rebuild. Dimitri never hit bottom until the end. And by then, it was too late." We left that evening heavy with grief, not just for Dimitri, but for what he could have been, the life he could have had if he'd been willing to change. August brought a profile in Forbes. They called me one of the most successful entrepreneurs under 40. They detailed the journey from medical debt to multi-million-dollar company. The writer asked about my in-laws, about the barbecue, about everything. "Do you regret how it went down?" she asked, playing that video, humiliating them. "No," I said. They needed to hear themselves. Sometimes the only way to see who you've become is to hear it reflected back. Do you have a relationship with them now? With some, not all. My father-in-law is teaching in Vermont. My mother-in-law is teaching middle school. My brother-in-law works for me and is doing incredible things. The others, they made different choices. And you're okay with that? I've learned that you can't save everyone. Some people don't want to be saved. Some people would rather drown than admit they need help. And that's not your responsibility to fix. The article came out in September. It went viral. I did 3 TV interviews, a TED Talk, a podcast tour. The company's profile skyrocketed. October brought the 5-year anniversary of the venture capital investment. The company was now valued at $500 million. My share was worth $225 million. Trevor's was worth $100 million. But more importantly, we employed 800 people. We fed 8,000 families a month through our charitable program. We'd helped 50,000 families total since launching. We'd built something that mattered. November brought Thanksgiving. Trevor and I hosted again. This time, 30 people, employees, friends, Rory and his girlfriend who were now engaged. His mother came. His father came down from Vermont. They sat at opposite ends of the table, amicable but separate, both teaching, both rebuilding. Violet came with her boyfriend, a teacher she'd met through a volunteer program. She was managing social media for a nonprofit now, making $62,000 a year, living in a studio apartment, happy. After dinner, Trevor made a toast. 5 years ago, our family was broken. Today, the pieces that mattered put themselves back together. Not the way we expected, not the way anyone would have chosen, but better, stronger, real. Everyone raised their glasses, even his parents, especially his parents. That night, cleaning up, his mother pulled me aside. I know I say this too much, but thank you. You broke us so we could heal. That's a gift, even if it didn't feel like one at the time. You're welcome. And I need to tell you something else. I'm getting remarried to my colleague, another teacher. We've been together for a year. That's wonderful. He's nothing like Trevor's father. He's kind and patient and he loves his job. He makes $58,000 a year and drives a 12-year-old Honda. And I've never been happier. She laughed. Funny how that works. December brought our biggest news yet. We were going public. IPO planned for March. Expected valuation, $800 million to $1 billion. If it hit $1 billion, I'd be worth $450 million. Trevor would be worth $200 million. Our early employees would become millionaires. The preparation was intense. SEC filings, roadshows, investor meetings, but we were ready. January brought the documentary back into the news. It won the Academy Award for Best Documentary. We walked the red carpet. I wore a dress that cost $300 because I couldn't bring myself to spend more. During interviews, people kept asking about my in-laws, about forgiveness, about whether money changed everything. Money doesn't change who you are, I said. It reveals who you've always been. Some people get money and become generous. Some become cruel. The money just amplifies what was already there. What did it amplify in you? Determination. I was always going to prove them wrong. The money just made it louder. February brought the final IPO preparations. We were going public March 15th. Opening price projected at $45 per share. The night before, Trevor and I sat on our back porch, still in the modest house, still living like we didn't have money. Because the money wasn't the point. It never was. Do you remember what you said you'd do when we made our first million? Trevor asked. No? What? You said you'd buy your mom's favorite flowers and leave them at her grave. You said you'd tell her you did it. You got out, you built something, you survived. I'd forgotten that. We should go tomorrow, before the IPO. I thought you'd say that. I already bought the flowers. March 15th started at my mom's grave. I laid down peonies, her favorite. I told her about the business, about Trevor, about proving everyone wrong, about helping families like ours. I didn't cry. I just talked, the way I used to when she was sick, when I was scared and had no one else. Then we drove to the NASDAQ. The market opened at 9:30. Our stock started trading at $45. By noon, it was at $62. By close, $58. The company was valued at $950 million. Not quite $1 billion, but close enough. I was worth $427 million. Trevor was worth $190 million. Rory, who we'd given a small equity stake, was worth $2.5 million. Patricia and Brandon and the early team were all millionaires. That night, we hosted a party for everyone. Every employee, every investor, every person who'd believed. Rory gave a speech. 5 years ago, I was a spoiled rich kid with no purpose. Today, I'm marrying the woman I love, running a charitable program that helps thousands, and working for people I respect. That transformation happened because one person refused to give up on me, even when she had every reason to. He raised his glass. To my boss, my mentor, my sister-in-law, the person who showed my whole family what we could become if we were willing to work for it. Everyone cheered. I felt Trevor's hand in mine, felt the weight of 5 years, of 10 years, of a lifetime of proving people wrong. Later, his father found me. I'm proud of you, he said. I know I have no right to say that, but I'm saying it anyway. You took nothing and built everything. That's real success. Thank you. And I want you to know something. I tell my students about you. About a young woman who dropped out of college to care for her dying mother, who faced crushing debt and social rejection, who married the man she loved despite his family wearing black to the wedding, who built a multi-million-dollar company from pure determination. You tell them that? Every year. First day of class. And I tell them that if they remember nothing else from my course, remember this. Success isn't about where you start. It's about whether you quit. And you never quit. Neither did you. You're teaching now. You're happy. Because you showed me it was possible. You showed all of us. He hugged me then, this man who'd once called me social suicide. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for breaking us so we could heal. April brought our 1-year post-IPO celebration. The stock was now at $71 per share. The company was valued at $1.2 billion. I was worth $540 million. But more importantly, we employed 1,200 people. We fed 12,000 families a month. We'd helped 100,000 families total. We'd built something that mattered, something that lasted, something that changed lives. That month, I got an email from the Davidson girl, the one Trevor could have married, the one his mother mentioned at the rehearsal dinner. I read about you, she wrote, about everything you've built. I wanted you to know that I'm glad Trevor chose you, because I married someone wealthy and respectable and utterly boring. I've spent 10 years in a loveless marriage organizing charity galas for causes I don't care about. I envy you. Not the money, the purpose, the partnership, the life you built because you weren't afraid to work for it. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Except maybe, I won. May brought Trevor's 40th birthday. We threw a huge party. Everyone who mattered. Hundreds of people whose lives had intersected with ours. Rory spoke again. When I was young, my parents taught me that success meant money and status, that you weren't worth anything unless you had both. They were wrong. Success is looking at your life and feeling proud. Success is building something that helps people. Success is becoming someone you respect. He looked at me. Thank you for teaching me that. Thank you for refusing to give up on me when I didn't deserve it. Thank you for showing my whole family what real success looks like. Later, in the quiet of our backyard, Trevor and I sat alone. Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't gotten married? He asked. If I'd listened to my parents? Sometimes. Do you? All the time. And I realized I would have ended up like Dimitri, angry and entitled and empty. You saved me from that. You saved yourself. You chose differently. I chose you. That's what saved me. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. 10 years of marriage. 7 years of business. A lifetime of proving people wrong. I love you, he said finally. Not because of the money or the success, but because you never stopped being the person I fell in love with. Fierce and determined and absolutely unwilling to quit. I love you too, for seeing me when no one else did, for believing when it would have been easier to doubt, for choosing me every single day. We went inside hand in hand. Tomorrow we'd go back to work, back to building, back to proving that success doesn't come from where you start. It comes from whether you quit, and we never quit. June brought a letter from my old restaurant manager, the one who'd given me 60-hour weeks while I was drowning in debt, the one who'd let me cry in the walk-in freezer when things got too hard. I heard about your success, he wrote. I'm not surprised. You were the hardest worker I ever employed, the most determined. I knew you'd do something extraordinary. I just didn't know it would be this. He'd enclosed a photo. Me at 23, exhausted and grieving, standing behind the bar with a forced smile. I barely remembered that version of myself. Keep this, he wrote, so you never forget where you came from. So you never forget what you survived. So you never forget that the woman in this photo had no idea she'd build an empire. But she did it anyway. I put the photo on my desk, next to the letter from Trevor's father, next to the thank you notes from families we'd helped. Evidence that change was possible, that redemption was real. July brought our expansion into Europe. London, Paris, Berlin, 200 new employees across 3 countries. The venture capital firm was ecstatic. The board was thrilled. We were becoming everything they'd envisioned and more. But I never forgot that night after Trevor's 30th birthday, when his mother used air quotes around love, when I decided to prove everyone wrong, when I chose to build instead of quit, because that's what this was really about. Not the money or the valuation or the press, but the act of building. The daily choice to keep going even when everyone says you'll fail. August brought Trevor's 40th birthday reflection. We'd been together 17 years, married for 10, business partners for 7. Do you ever regret it? I asked. Marrying someone your family hated? Every day, he said, then smiled. I regret that I didn't marry you sooner. I regret that I let them make you feel small. I regret every moment I didn't defend you loudly enough. You defended me. Not always, not enough. There were dinners where I should have walked out, holidays where I should have stood up, moments where I chose peace over protecting you. You were trying to keep both. I was being a coward, hoping they'd come around, hoping I wouldn't have to choose. But you never asked me to choose. You just built something so undeniable they had to acknowledge it. Or die trying. Or die trying, he agreed. We'd survived. Not just survived. Thrived. Built something real from nothing but determination and spite and love. September brought the 5-year documentary follow-up. The filmmaker wanted to check in, see where everyone was now, capture the aftermath. She interviewed all of us again. Me, Trevor, Rory, his parents, Violet, employees, families we'd helped. The documentary would release next year. During my interview, she asked the question I'd been waiting for. Do you forgive them? Your in-laws? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't forgive them for what they did, I said finally, but I accept who they've become. That's different. Forgiveness implies the past doesn't matter. Acceptance means acknowledging the past while seeing the present clearly. That's a distinction. It's an important one. Because I'll never forget wearing white while they wore black. I'll never forget being called an anchor. I'll never forget years of systematic cruelty. But I can accept that they've changed, that they're trying, that they're not those people anymore. Is that enough? It has to be. Because holding on to hate would only hurt me, and they've already taken enough. October brought our 10-year high school reunion for Trevor. His former classmates wanted to celebrate the local success story. We almost didn't go, but Rory convinced us. Let them see it, he said. Let them see what you built while they were climbing corporate ladders and living ordinary lives. Not because you need to prove anything, but because some kid there might be drowning in debt or family pressure or self-doubt, and seeing you might save them. So we went. Trevor in a regular suit. Me in a dress that cost $200. No flashiness, no ostentation, just us. The reaction was subtle, but clear. People who'd ignored us were suddenly interested. People who'd pitied Trevor for marrying down suddenly wanted to hear our story. One woman approached me in the bathroom. I remember your wedding, she said. I remember thinking Trevor was making a mistake. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Okay. No, really. I need you to know that I spent 10 years in a miserable marriage because I chose stability over love. I chose someone my family approved of instead of someone who made me happy. And I look at you and Trevor and I realize I failed. You didn't. I'm sorry your marriage didn't work out. Don't be. It taught me that everyone was wrong. The people who said love isn't enough. The people who said you need social standing and wealth and family approval. They were all wrong. Love is enough, if you're willing to work for it. She left. I never learned her name, but I hoped she found her own version of this, her own success story, her own redemption. November brought Thanksgiving again. Year 6 of hosting. 50 people this time. The company had become a family, and family showed up. Rory was there with his wife. They'd gotten married in June. Small ceremony. Just people who mattered. Trevor's parents were there, sitting together for the first time since the divorce. Both with their new partners. Both happy. Violet was there with her fiancé. She'd gotten promoted. Was making $85,000 now. Had her own apartment. Had rebuilt her life from scratch. During dinner, Trevor's mother stood up. "I need to say something," she announced. 10 years ago, I wore black to my son's wedding. I told everyone he was making a mistake. I spent years making his wife feel worthless, and I was wrong about everything. The room went quiet. But I wasn't wrong because she succeeded, she continued. I was wrong because I measured success by the wrong metrics. Money and status instead of character and love. I taught my children that winning meant accumulating wealth, when the real win was building something meaningful. She looked at me. You won, not because you're rich, but because you built a life worth living. Thank you for teaching us that. Thank you for not giving up on the ones who were willing to learn. People applauded. I felt tears in my eyes. Not because I needed her approval, but because change was real. Redemption was possible. People could become better versions of themselves. December brought end-of-year reflections. The company had done $150 million in revenue. We employed 1,500 people. We'd helped 150,000 families through our charitable program. But the real success was smaller, more personal. It was Rory, happy and purposeful. It was Trevor's parents, finally living authentic lives. It was Violet, rebuilding. It was employees who'd been given chances they didn't think they'd get. That's what I'd built. Not just a company, but proof that you could start with nothing and build everything. That you could face cruelty and respond with determination. That you could take pain and turn it into purpose. On New Year's Eve, Trevor and I stood on our back porch watching fireworks. "What are your goals for next year?" he asked. "Same as every year. Build something that matters. Help people who need it. Prove that success doesn't come from where you start. You've already done that. Then I'll do it again. Because there's always someone who needs to see it's possible. Someone wearing white while everyone else wears black. Someone drowning in debt and doubt and other people's disapproval. Someone who needs evidence that they can survive this, that they can win. You're talking about you. I'm talking about everyone. Because my story isn't special. It's universal. We all face people who doubt us. We all have obstacles. We all have to choose between quitting and building. And I built." "We built," he corrected. "We built," I agreed. The fireworks exploded overhead. Year 7 beginning. More growth ahead. More lives to change. More proof to provide that redemption is real and success is earned and love is enough if you're willing to work for it. I'd spent 10 years proving his parents wrong. But somewhere along the way, I'd proven something else. That you don't need permission to succeed. You don't need approval. You don't need anything except determination and a refusal to quit. They wore black to my wedding. I turned that into fuel. Built an empire. Changed lives. And proved that the only opinion that matters is the one you have of yourself. And I was proud. Finally. Completely. Unshakably proud. That was the real victory. Not the money, not the valuation, not even the documentary or the Forbes profile or the TED Talk. The victory was looking in the mirror and seeing someone who never quit. Someone who took every insult and turned it into inspiration. Someone who proved that where you start doesn't matter half as much as whether you finish. I finished. We finished. And that made all the difference.